Imagine this. One day, your job security is not dependent on your job performance, but instead it's on the political feelings of the moment. For federal employees, this isn't a hypothetical, it's a reality. This new reality could mean eliminating telework and remote work. There was a poll, over 1,000 people answered, and it revealed some surprising results. 42% plan to stay in their jobs regardless of changes. Another 41% are in the wait and see mode. That's over 80% choosing to stay, while only 11% are ready to leave. So what changes are we talking about exactly? Well, first is Schedule F. This is a potential reclassification of federal jobs. It could make it easier to hire and fire civil servants. It makes them at-will employees, like anyone else in the private sector. You don't need a reason to fire them. You don't have to say, hey, you didn't perform to standard, you showed up late. There's no reason. There's no performance improvement plan, none of that. You just show them the door. You're done. If you dealt with policy, then you could be placed with the Schedule F classification. Now, the problem was, who deals with policy? At what level deal with policy? Are you talking about the clerk that just emails something off to their executive to get a signature? Are they dealing in policy? A lot of people didn't know. It wasn't specified. Or is this only the senior executives or maybe the GS-15s? Is that the population that we're talking about? A lot of people, they have a problem with Schedule F because they feel like it makes the entire workforce more political. They cannot operate in an apolitical way because they have to be showing favor or leaning towards whoever's in office at that time. Otherwise, they could risk termination. The protections are just not there. On the other hand, it's been known for a long time that some supervisors have difficulties removing poor performers. And it's because it requires a lot more paperwork. And you have to make sure that it's being done in a timely manner. The union representative a lot of times has to be involved. You have to mark their progress in order to have the justification to terminate. And then after you terminate, a lot of times they have appeal rights. They can appeal the termination and they can reach a settlement outside of the agency. They can, take legal proceedings. So for a lot of supervisors, that represents a huge headache. They're trying to actually do their job in the office. And by inviting that whole other process, that pulls resources away from whatever they're working on in that moment. All right, so 67% of people, they believe that the telework policies will tighten under the new administration. To me, this should really be at 100%. I don't know a single federal employee that feels the current state of telework is going to remain unchanged. It's going to change. Now, the argument, the conversation, the difference of opinion, it comes into how much is it going to change? Is it going to change, by 10, 15%? Or are we looking at a radical change? But everyone I've talked to has admitted that it will change. Now, the hard part about this is a lot of people currently, they're benefiting from their flexible schedules. And when you try to remove a privilege, a benefit, a freedom, when you try to take that away from someone, it's not met with a welcoming response. So if federal employees were never allowed to telework, so let's go back in time before the year 2000, because it was right around the year 2000 where this whole telecommuting, which is the same as telework, that's when it was introduced. So if you take it back into the 1980s, when nobody was teleworking for the most part, then there wouldn't be a big deal about going on telework or going on remote work. It wouldn't even be a conversation. But what has happened since 2000, so for the last 25 years, what has happened is we have given this benefit out because it improves retention, it improves recruitment. So it was done strategically. It was something that was deliberately done in order to improve the workforce. And we've done this for 25 years. And now we're proposing getting rid of it all of it altogether, not just a little bit. The far side of the spectrum, the more radical line of thinking is to completely get rid of it. So then the question is, how do you recruit cybersecurity professionals? How do you recruit people with talent that work in artificial intelligence? How can you start recruiting people that have, lawyer backgrounds, attorney backgrounds in order to achieve a lot of the functions that are needed within the federal government? Most of them are not going to come out of their own goodwill. They need to have something that attracts them to it. This telework issue has only become a hot button topic since the pandemic. Before the pandemic, people were teleworking 2-3 days out of the week in many federal agencies. Nobody had a problem with it. Nobody in Congress was ranting and raving about getting federal employees back into the office. It was the norm. A lot of agencies were comfortable doing this, especially for their senior personnel, people who have been in the office, whether they're GS-12, GS-13, they've been there 10, 15 years. They're confident they can do their task at home. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the way the future is moving. More autonomy, more freedom, more independence, giving the employee more of their time back in the day. You're fighting the future when you want to bring every single person back into the office. So check this out. There was a report that came out recently by a senator, and it focuses on all the misdeeds of federal employees done while working remotely or teleworking. It's addressed to the American taxpayer. It's 60 pages long. And I read all of it. It gives numbers throughout this report that are directly in contradiction to the OMB report that was released in the summertime of 2024. So in the senator's report, it says 6% of federal employees are coming into the office 5 days a week. But if you look at the OMB report, it specifically says that only 46% of federal employees are eligible for telework. So how could 94% of people be teleworking? That's not even possible. That's not happening. I don't know how they did the study. They didn't show how they did the study. They didn't show the algorithm or the scientific method in which they attain these figures. It doesn't say it in here. It just gives you the figure. The same thing here it says about remote work. It says 33%. A third of the federal workforce is supposedly 100% remote work. I've been tracking the job postings on usajobs.gov for over 3 years. And what you see on a typical day, doesn't matter, pick the month, pick the year, on a typical day, only 2% of the job listings are actually remote work. And that number right now is roughly around 300 to 350 every day, where you have over 20,000 federal government jobs. So what we're seeing in a 3-year time horizon is 2% of the government jobs are 100% remote work. But the report would have you believe that it is 33%. That's ridiculous. That's not even close to accurate. But at the same time, there is some truth to this report, especially when they're showing pictures of a VA employee sitting in a bathtub. It's a bubble bath. He has his leg exposed out of the tub, and you can see his government laptop next to him with Teams. I mean, most government employee meetings are on Teams, so you can see that. This individual decided it was a good idea to post this like on Instagram or something, and they went ahead and screen grabbed it, and now everyone can see this GS-14 or whoever he is sitting in a bubble bath doing a meeting when he's supposed to be at work, right? So is there anything inherently wrong with that? Well, it rubs a lot of people the wrong way. Why are you in a bubble bath earning 6 figures? Why aren't you like the rest of the people that actually have to commute in and stand by the desk and wear your sport coat or whatever you wear? A lot of people, it just rubs them the wrong way. Now, the other story is a little bit worse because you have this federal employee and he has a business of home inspection. So he's going around to different neighborhoods inspecting their houses, and his wife and mother, they're sending emails back at the house so that his supervisor believes he's still at work. Now, obviously, that's the wrong answer. He shouldn't have been doing that. But I would encourage you to think about it like this. Any large organization, you will have 10% of that workforce doing the wrong thing. This is from 100 people in an organization to 2 million. You will have that bottom 10% that's either having behavioral issues, performance issues, and you don't take the bottom 10% and paint the whole organization as bad. And that's what this report is essentially doing. It's pinpointing 2, 3, 4 different incidents, and they're saying, look what the federal workforce is up to by showcasing the worst of federal employees. I think that's unfair, and I think it's dishonest. You can find a lot of reports that show telework, remote work, it boosts productivity on average throughout the organization. But there's always a segment of not just the workforce, but also a segment of Congress that doesn't like it. They'll never like it. They want people in the cubicles so they can see everyone's faces. It gives them a sense of control. It gives them a sense of everyone's doing the right thing because I can put my eyes on them. Another topic that's on a lot of people's minds are the budgets. Over 50% of federal employees are anticipating budget cuts within their offices. And for a lot of people, this can mean that that program that just stood up a couple of years ago, they can be dissolving it. They're going to have to take those people that were working in that program and they're going to have to shift them around the agency. In some cases, they might just have to go find another job altogether. But despite uncertainties, a lot of federal employees, they're staying put. Why is this? Number one is the benefits. Number two is the dedication to public service and a sense of pride in their work. If you are still considering a federal government job, here's the silver lining. The federal government is still the top employer when you're looking for stability, when you're looking for security, and a job that actually is going to pay you a pension. And they're hiring right now in all fields. Doesn't matter if it's defense, healthcare, tech, and it's worth considering. Look at the pay scale, look at the benefits, and compare it to your area. In some areas, it's the best bet in town. Whether you're an applicant or a current employee, the workforce is always evolving. And right now, there's a lot of people that are fearful. They're scared. This is the worst time to apply for a government job. So they're taking themselves out of competition. They're removing themselves for you because you don't think that and you'll actually apply. So know in the back of your head, there's less competition as I'm applying. In the month of December, the month of January, the month of February, all through 2025, there's less competition because fear has people paralyzed. Now, if you're still interested in a federal government job, you should know that there's some agencies that experience more turnover than others. That means people quit or they terminate people. And it's not all equal. So you have what I consider the top 5 that do it the most. If you're interested in that information, I want you to check this video out next. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please click like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.